This series is called Tank Chair. Tank Chair is a series written and illustrated by Manabu Yashiro, which began its serialization November of 2022 and is currently still ongoing, with English releases also releasing currently. But let me tell you, this guy Manabu Yashiro has some outstanding artwork, by the way. I mean, just look at some of the ones I put on the screen. Now, enough of that. Let's talk about the actual story. Tank Chair is a series about a man, well, in a wheelchair, of course, and his sister trying to help him recover and be able to start walking regularly and functioning like a regular person again. Because he's actually paralyzed. He isn't just stuck in a wheelchair. He's also completely paralyzed from head to toe. And he cannot move, eat, or do absolutely anything from the current position that he's in. Only time he's ever functional is when someone is actively trying to kill him, or he is capable of feeling someone's killing intent. Now that you know who wrote this series and a little bit of what it's about, let's get on with the story. And I'll be saying this every video. If you want me to cover another series or want me to continue doing the ones I'm already doing, put those in the comments below. Now, with that actually being said, let's actually move on to the first chapter now. A truck is driving across the highway and a sign that says road closed shows up, so the truck decides to stop. As the truck comes to a stop, the people driving it are like, what is happening? Is there some construction going around here? Then a massive footstep is heard close by. Then we pan out and see an entire gang completely surround the truck, and they kind of look like monkeys and everything. But then we get a close-up of them, and yeah, they are actually monkeys. And there are people in the truck are like, who are these people? And instead of asking all these questions about who these people are and what's happening to them, they should have just kept on driving. Because as soon as they say this, a knock is heard on the window. And the thing that shows up in that window is like a 20-foot tall, white beard level gorilla just staring straight into their souls with this blank wide out is in its skull chain that it wears around its neck. And as soon as they decide to lock eyes with it, their truck gets completely crushed by that and just completely destroyed. They get destroyed, their truck gets destroyed, and he only used one hand and only attacked them one time, bro. Actually insane. Eventually it cuts back to a hotel, and then we learn that gorilla's name was Goro Araishiyama, and he's apparently the boss of a group of bandits. And apparently this is the third time that this man's trucks has been attacked by this gang. And he assigns this person that he's talking to take them out, because he can't trust the police anymore. The person that he's talking to asks, how strong exactly is this gorilla anyway? And he says that thanks to repeated gene doping, he is about 10 times stronger than your average gorilla and can crush trucks made of steel with just his bare hands, and has killed about 50 people from their gang already. And they're like, that's pretty impressive, and takes the job. And the old man is happy about that, so she tells him, oh yeah, by the way, remember to pay in advance, because if another dangerous guy comes along, I'll just take him out too. And leaves. Olga then asks, who even was that? And he says that is Shizuka Tara, an assassin broker, but that's all he's got on her. But for some reason she only takes on the most dangerous of jobs, and also it's a bad idea to dig any deeper into what she's working for or who she's working for, because whoever they are cannot be any sort of good news. Shizuka then walks through the streets and then decides to stop by a clinic. And the people at the reception desk already know who she is and know that she's coming to see her brother, so they immediately tell her that he's in room 13. They also make one extra comment saying that he hasn't been the same ever since a certain incident. He calls out for his name, which is Nagi, and she keeps trying, but he clearly doesn't respond. She tries to make a funny joke and he still doesn't respond, so she smacks him on the head repeatedly until he does something. Out of options, she decides to dig in her bag and get a knife out of it, then proceeds to focus her killing intent on her brother and goes in for a kill. As her killing intent grows stronger and she gets closer to him with the knife, his brain finally fires up and his eyes flicker open and immediately snap. And right as they do, he catches the knife with just 2 of his fingers and tells her, good morning. Over at this hotel, we see their group, playing cards, doing stuff and everything. And one of them says he's gonna go buy some cigarettes and everything. And they're just chilling along, right? That is until they hear a loud scream, and one of their mans walks down the hallway, and one of his hands is completely severed, and he's still moving through. He's like, and then he just falls to the ground. And then there's a screeching sound in the corner, and all they see is a man in a wheelchair with blades coming out of his hands, looking like some kind of evil Kamen Rider, even though those already exist, but he's like eviler with a little Destiny robot, and he's also disabled. As Nagi just stares at him, they're like, who is this? An assassin in a wheelchair or something? And then his sister then proceeds to call them a bunch of stupid monkeys. And they immediately snap and just start shooting at Nagi, which all of that killing intent being focused on him causes his brainwaves to finally activate. His eyes will go bust wide open. His muscles get bigger. He looks like he's charging up. And as the last one flicks their gun, he immediately starts getting to slashing them. Slashes one, the other, and does a whole zigzag straight through them. The rest of the game starts to freak out and just completely blindly blast at Nagi, which he is completely unaffected by these bullets. And he makes it up to one of them and starts turning his wheelchair, starts spinning around, and completely just dismembers him from the head down to his toes like a cake. And all that's left of him is just this mess of flesh, guts, and blood sitting on the ground. The remaining members are just dumbfounded by what they just saw and are saying that he's just a guy in a wheelchair. There is absolutely no way he can make it up to where they are, so he just tells them to keep shooting. As the bullets finally reach him, he just deflects all of them with the blades on his arms. And after that onslaught, he presses a button on his wheelchair which activates spike mode. And spikes immediately start coming out of his tires. And as that happens, he starts booking it straight towards the wall. And they believe that he's just about to get up and run away from this. But they are very mistaken, because as soon as he reaches the wall, he starts riding right up the wall, which shocks the hell out of these guys. And as soon as he reaches the top, he rams his tires straight into one of their faces with the spikes attached as well. Then cuts the other guy, and this fight is completely over. While that's happening, Shizuka inside of a van and comments on how Nagi's body is more agile than it used to be when he was on duty. But she mentions that the guys he just fought were too weak and are not enough to rehabilitate him. We cut to a flashback 3 years earlier and see that the bullet wound completely messed up his brain and that he's somehow still managing to survive. And that the possibility of him regaining full consciousness is extremely low, which surprises Shizuka. And we learn that Nagi used to be the strongest assassin within the town. But one day, Shizuka got kidnapped and taken hostage. And even though Nagi had killed all the guys who'd taken her hostage, one of the guys was still alive and kicking, so he shot a bullet directly at Shizuka trying to kill her, but in the process of Nagi protecting her, he got hit instead. And has remained in a vegetative state ever since. While Shizuka is crying about how it's all her fault and that she's sorry for what happened to Nagi, she notices that a mosquito has landed on the left side of his face, and then comments about how he's even an assassin that can't even kill a mosquito, so she tries to do it herself. And while going to slap the mosquito dead, the killing intent that she feels towards the mosquito is also felt by Nagi, which then causes him to wake up. While Nagi is fighting the gorilla, Shizuka makes a narration that if Nagi faces an unmatched level of killing intent, that he'll be able to go back to the way he used to be. We continue the fight against Goro Ashiyama, where he tries to pummel Nagi straight into the ground, which Nagi manages to dodge. Then he eventually decides to finally use more of his abilities and uses his blades to stab him or some other weapon in his arms. I can't exactly see what is happening here, but something explodes and then Nagi finally manages to get a good hit on him. Nagi then looks back to see if that actually worked, but immediately gets thrown outside of the building straight through the wall with his wheelchair screeching across the ground. His wheelchair then begins to make a bunch of creaking noises and hissing noises, and it seems like it's not working because his mask also then begins to crack. Goro Arashiyama then praises Nagi just for the way he carries himself and how strong he actually is, and says he would like to add him to his collection, which I assume he's talking about the skull chain on his neck. Shizuka asks Nagi how he feels about fighting Goto Urashiyama, but Nagi says that he's lacking, and his sister is surprised by that. But Nagi explains that he's just toying with him and doesn't feel his intent to kill him at all. This lets Shizuka have a realization that Goto Urashiyama does not care about any of his underlings even if they die. So she says that maybe Nagi will have to use a certain ability. Nagi doesn't really want to use this ability due to it wearing him out. His sister then says that if he doesn't do this, he'll never get better. So he reluctantly agrees to use it, and then takes his wheelchair into an alleyway. This confuses Goto Urashiyama, so he decides to chase Nagi down the alleyway without a moment's hesitation. Even with doing that immediately, he can't seem to actually find Nagi. Suddenly, a bunch of rumbling is heard throughout the town, and we see that something is destroying a bunch of parts of the town, including buildings and walls and such, and it is just going in one direction as well. We see that someone else actually almost gets hit by whatever machine this is, but Shizuka's ball destiny thing or whatever it is shows up and apologizes for the inconvenience. We then see that it's actually Nagi who's in the machine, coming straight towards Goto Urashiyama with full force. And as soon as he looks back, the wall completely shatters and gets crushed. And then Tank Chair decides to activate his technique. Tank Chair, Mark 7, Road Heavy Tank. Nagi uses the tank to force himself against Goto Urashiyama, which he tries to actually push back against Heavy Tank. And he's so confused. He's like, is this a wheelchair? What the hell even is this thing? Nagi's wheelchair then starts revving up and realizes that Nagi's just pushing him back with his arms alone. Shizuka then decides to taunt and peer pressure Goto Urashiyama into actually trying, which increasingly infuriates him. And with a little bit more taunting, it finally works. And Goto Urashiyama finally decides to stop holding back and actually try to kill Nagi by screaming out that he's gonna kill him. And then his killing intent is finally focused against Nagi, which means that he can finally go all out. But he only realizes that this only made Nagi stronger, and as he tries to scream out and use all of his force, Nagi only pushes harder and starts to run over Goto Urashiyama with the steamroller, completely flattening him while his bones get crushed. His skin gets turned into just paste on the ground, and he finally gets done killing him. In the aftermath, we see that Goto Urashiyama has just been turned into like a piece of paper on the ground, just sitting there, but he's just indented into the ground. And we see that Shizuka then comes around the corner telling Nagi, nice work. Nagi and Shizuka then go to just talk about regular everyday things. Like Shizuka talks about a game that she's into that's getting a remake and everything and talks about it. Nagi's never heard of it, but he does ask her how her grades have been doing in school lately. And she's like, Nagi says not to worry about him and make sure that she goes to school properly so that she can live a normal, modest life. Shizuka brushes it off and remembers that she wants to ask Nagi one more question. But as soon as she tries, he immediately falls back into that vegetative state that he was in previously due to not having anything trying to kill him. Shizuka realizes that the time he had right now is up, but she decides to take him anyway, and narrates that all she wants to do is have them talk like normal siblings again. But for the time being, until the day Nagi finally gets better and they're finally able to talk regularly again, Shizuka will continue searching around and finding targets for Nagi to kill.